Hey guys, it's Chandra, your favorite monk and tarot card reader. And today I've got another tarot card reading to do for S. And S reached out to me and was wanting to know. There's a guy in her life. I don't want to say mystery man. But this person is a very interesting person, and the narrative on this is something that is a little bit personal, a little private, so we won't get into too many details as far as that goes. I'm not trying to ruin things for you guys as far as the entertainment value of this tarot card reading or anything goes. I promise you it will still be. I promise you guys it will still be there on some level maybe. But anyway, no. So what we've got here though is this is a question concerning money in the relationship. And even though I can't get too much into the backdrop of the relationship itself and how it's materialized or where it's come from or what its trajectory and things are, what I can do is I can tell you this. So this kind of situation is like sometimes in a relationship, one person is a little bit more fortunate than the other person. Somebody may be helping the other person. I'll give you an example. It's almost like, say you met someone and maybe a young couple met, right? Maybe they met one day, I don't know, online dating. I don't know how people meet these days. Mall, school, university campus, someplace. But let's just assume that two people met, and one person came more from, I don't want to say privilege, but just one person was just a little bit more better or more responsible with money than the other person was per se. Or it could be a situation where one person was just a little bit more down on their luck than the other person. Well, they got together, they connected, they got married, or they didn't get married, but they got together, but they started living together, they started to communicate, they started to have a relationship, and then it became almost like a catching up as far as balancing out the relationship. What does that mean? It would be almost like if you got married and your significant other had a whole boatload of student loan debt, right? Maybe they went to university and they weren't as fortunate as far as getting scholarships as what you were. And you guys both maybe go out and both have jobs. Your job maybe pays a little bit better because of the occupation that you decided to go into. And so you're like, well, out of fairness to my partner and all, who just is not as financially blessed as I am, I'm going to start to help this person maybe pay off their student loans, or I'm going to help this person in this capacity, right? And so a lot of people have no problem with that. Why? Because they love each other. Where two people are married or something like that, or they're connected, or they're in a relationship with one another. There's the equity of that relationship, the balancedness. One person shouldn't have it better than the other person. Or it's that feeling of you want your partner to have it just as well off as you do, and you want things to be balanced and equal and justice to reign, and and there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe there's other people out there that say, no, my partner got themselves into that mess. It's their job to get themselves out. It's less equitable as far as that kind of thing. And so there's that kind of thinking, right? Okay, so that's kind of the situation, but it's a little bit different than that. In this particular case, we have S, and she is just probably better off. Her situation is just a better off situation than what his situation is, right? And he's come to her for a little bit of help and all. And it's sort of this question of well, should I do this? Should I help this person or should I not? And it's also that we have to look at the past as well, because in the past, S has helped this person and tried to help them out, quite significantly before, monetarily and financially, and with a good heart, not necessarily feeling resentment towards it, but just glad that she could help this person and happy to be able to do it because she cares a great deal for this person. I don't want to put on my Susie Orman hat here or anything. If you guys know Susie Orman's first relationships and family and stuff like that, then money and then things, right? So that's kind of always been kind of her financial advice or something along those lines. It's but it's also that she's also very practical when it comes to the financial things, don't put yourself in a bad situation to help someone out. If you have a little extra and you want to help that's fine, but don't do it at your own demise, or you don't help someone else if it's going to hurt you. And so Susie Orman, she has some pretty practical advice when it comes to money and finances and that kind of thing. So I bring that out because that's kind of like the direction that we're going. We'll do the tarot card reading here in a minute, guys. As I'm talking, I'm actually shuffling the cards here because I like that fresh energy on a deck of cards. I don't like the old energy from the other tarot card reading. I've been doing some other tarot card readings today, and for that reason, I want that energy off the cards, and I want fresh energy so that we get a really good and accurate reading for the cards. And I don't want like the possibility or chances of or the probabilities of things coming back around like old cards that came up earlier. I want really a true and accurate, so I want all the cards completely mixed up. Anyways, enough about that. Let's continue on with our narrative here. So S wants to kind of get some perspective. So this person, has been taking care of some responsibilities, but now this person owes someone some money and is kind of coming or looking to her maybe for some help. Could be some financial help and different things on that end. And S wants to know, okay, well, should I do this? Should I not? What course of action should I take with it? That's what this whole tarot card reading is all about. So what I probably could have said in about a minute or less, 30 seconds or less, probably took me a little bit longer, but that's okay because, again, like I said, shuffling the cards. Want to get that good energy moving forward here. And so that's kind of where we're at with things. Now, for this reading and that, we're going to do a 5-card reading. 5 cards is interesting. It kind of gives us the past, present, future, and things as far as this situation goes, but really more directly or more specifically with regard to the this particular situation, like with this, with him, with the legal and the lawyer and the paying back and then owing the person money, and then, what should we do as far as paying this back or not, or helping this person in any kind of capacity, that type of thing, that energy. And that's what we really want to put forward and kind of assess and look at. Shuffle the cards. I'm going to cut them now. Oh, that was an interesting cut. And now we're just going to do the reading. For this particular reading, I'm putting all 5 cards out and looking at things. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, this is definitely a dynamic one. Okay, guys. So the first card is going to be the past, and that's just real recent past, or things that kind of the energy in that of what's happened with this situation. We had the Tower. I did a reading not too long ago, and someone got the Tower. And I was just explaining, like, with the Tower comes, it's like destruction overnight. It's sort of like you don't really have any power when this kind of card happens. You're sort of powerless. It's like your whole world gets shaken up, the whole foundation of everything. This could be the end of a relationship that was very unexpected or sudden. This could be the end of, an old way of doing things that no longer worked for you, that just, for whatever reason, something came to take those kind of things out of your life. And it just happened so suddenly because it's really for your higher good. Sometimes it's painful because, like, we don't like that sense of loss, like when things leave our lives, or and so we get upset, and there's those kind of feelings and emotions and things that really start to happen with it. So there's that, is sort of, but at the same time, it's for our higher good. And so give it a little bit of time, and then things start to turn around, and we start to feel really, really good. And we're really glad that the situation happened, but we wouldn't have known that until a little bit of future has gone by. In the past, we had this kind of situation, and this is about the whole monetary or different things, feeling these kind of emotions and feelings and stuff. S has probably had some of these feelings before, maybe when she's helped him out a little bit and different things, and they materialized on some level. And then maybe she took a little bit of a hit, or some things were upset. She ran on some hard times or something like that, or some hardship or whatever with regard to this, or had to deal with them things, or had to face some issues confrontationally, kind of one-on-one. Maybe without the help, or the relationship went awry, or whatever the case is. But we see that here with the Tower, and it's sort of like this is kind of our past. What happened with that is it kind of gives us this 5 energy, and that's our present situation now. with regard to this whole, do I help or do I not help? What relationships do I want to kick? What relationships do I want to hold on to? Who's behind me? Who's leaving my life? These kind of things. You see this kind of character, and this 5 is about change, moving things in a different direction. 5's numerology is all about change, metamorphosis, moving things. It could be that. So a lot of times when people get this, like in their horoscopes, for example, the 5s, oftentimes it's about a lot of change. In other words, a lot of travel. It's about like many different situations. A person with a 5 life path number, they could, their whole life could just be a constant series of many different narratives, many different stories where they're in all these different types of situations. They live in this place, they live in that place, they have this experience, they have that experience, so that, by the time they've gotten to a very early age in life even, or just a couple of few years have gone by, they've lived a whole entire lifetime as far as experiences that what other people may not live in an entire, 100-year period or something, and it's because of all that change, that 5s, constant change, constant things happening in that. And that's what's going on with this. It's about, seeing things just constantly, shifting gears and that type of thing. And we have this with the relationships, part of things are kind of spilled over. They're not exactly there. They're there, but it's just kind of like a little rocky, kind of our thinking, like, should we do this? Should we not do this? What kind of, what do I need to take away with this? What's this 5 telling me? We'll talk more about that in a minute, but where is S at here in the near future with all of this? Good place. So the near future, we've got the Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords is, Queen, like swords, we think of swords that we're thinking about mind stuff, it's our mind, the mind can be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy. But with this card, we have this, the Queen is also about influence. She influences outcomes, influences decisions. And when she has the ability to influence things in people's minds or the way that they look at things and all, it's usually in a pretty profound and a pretty amazing kind of way. And that's what this is really getting us to. This is kind of really where our looking at things starts to come into play at. And we'll see that here in a minute when I talk to you guys about the other 2 cards that are coming about. That's our answer outcome. We kind of look at the solution of things and what we should be doing, and then also kind of like where that will leave us or lead down to as far as our eventuality goes. But with this Queen of Swords, she's really impactful as far as like getting inside people's minds, helping them see things differently or helping them kind of connect dots and that type of thing. And this is really symbolic of really us kind of a little bit later on down the line. She's moving strides in that direction I'm picking up, but also it's really about that, having that influence, that power, being able to get the things and that she wants, her value from things as well as being able to help and to do things like that. Let's talk about the answer to this whole situation. The answer is the Queen of Pentacles. So for those of you guys that have been watching this so far, and you've been kind of drawing your own conclusions, and maybe you're a little biased in terms of like, you might be thinking, oh, don't help this person out. Don't give this money. This person's just using you, or whatever your intuition or whatever is telling you about. This card would have us think a little bit differently. This would kind of be like if you're riding a bicycle and all, and some kid was trying to prank you, and they put like a stick or a piece of a metal rod or something like in your bicycle spokes, it would stop you in your tracks immediately. You'd fall off the bicycle, maybe get even hurt, and then just have that kind of a situation happen. And it would be sudden and jolt, kind of like the tower here, But when we get to this Queen of Pentacles, though, it's really this idea of like, okay, we can influence with money as well. Like having a little bit of money sometimes helps us to be able to, get people to see things a little bit differently. We can help monetarily and things as well because we're in a better situation than maybe the other person is. But we also have the influence, like the influences of money as well can really play a role into the relationship. That's your answer right there, S. And then finally we get to the outcome and then kind of where we're seeing things at and all. Interestingly, this is a card about balance, and that we have the 2 of Wands. It's also about action, and it's also about like, should I commit or should I not? Should I commit or should I not? And mostly when this card comes up, we've already kind of taken a little bit of a journey already. We've already kind of started on the path. That would have been with the Ace of Wands, but we're at the 2 of Wands already. So we've already kind of in our mind decided, okay, well, we're moving along this path, we're moving along this journey, and that's what we're going to do. But at the same time, we got to kind of look at things, and we kind of think we see everything a little bit bigger than what it really is. Like, we kind of have our own perspective on things, but we're doing it kind of in an equitable way, a balanced way, and looking at things kind of from this vantage point of like knowing that we have a little bit more understanding, a little bit more insight than this other person does, the guy. And knowing that, we're in a position to be able to help, and then maybe being able to guide or try to bring this thing to fruition, maybe for the sake of the relationship and so on. How do we know that? Well, 2 is about relationships often. It's also about balance. And what we have here is that, we have a security, we have the wall here, kind of a secure location, but we're also willing to kind of go out on a limb sometimes, pun intended there, not just kidding, and also be able to kind of get outside our comfort zone a little bit and traverse the world with someone else, or, to make some decisions that are going to, guide us in a productive way. What am I picking up? Where I'm kind of going with things on this is that I see that this relationship will find some connection down the road, in terms of probably being there in each other's lives. I see that in the time being and all, you've got 2 influencing forces that really tend to come into play. Like, where you're going to get to here in the near future is where you're empowering this person more through your ideology, your thoughts, your beliefs, and having a really good impact on that person. Is going to come along the lines of also influencing them financially on some level and all. So what is this saying? What is really the solution to this? Do we give the person money? Do we not give the person money? Do we help them? Do we not help them? The answer is yes and no. And I know that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not to the extent that maybe you think you should help them, but it should be in a parallel, in a really balanced way to get this outcome. That's the togetherness that you're looking for. And how do we do that? We do that through the mind, and we do that through our pocketbook, our money, our good fortune in that. So in small ways, you can monetarily help this person, but realize you're also influencing this person to help themselves as well. That's really where you're going at with these queens that you have here. You're in the power position in both the way of looking at things and helping this person think things more clearly, but you're also in the power play of helping this person probably a little bit more financially. And the solution to it is both. You can help, but not to the extent that maybe you have in the past, a little bit of money or something like that. But just remember, if you give somebody a lot of money right now, they're going to come back maybe later on down the line and maybe want some more, because maybe they don't know how to, be as fiscally responsible with it as, but not. You can teach someone to fish and then they can feed themselves, right? Or you can keep feeding that person and having that person relying on you or looking to you for answers. And then that person never really, starts to be empowered. And I don't think that this person will really kind of materialize themselves into your life until which time they are kind of becoming more empowered. It looks like they're making some progress in that direction based on past conversations and different things. I'm picking that up also intuitively. I'm seeing that kind of in my mind's eye here. But I also see this whole idea of if you can keep the connection monetarily, but also with the thoughts and the thinking and the ideas, but you do it in a smaller way. I wouldn't just, don't just give large sums of money, but a little bit here and there. And also with the advice, with the understanding and things, so the ideology, the things that are going to help this person. This stuff. I mean, you know how to help people. You know how to help yourself. You know about law of attraction and about manifesting and putting things out there for your higher good and then things coming back. The power of positive thinking and all these kind of great things, This other person, maybe they're a little lacking in that. So they need both, they need guidance and understanding and to be able to help themselves in that way. But they're also needing maybe a little help from time to time, financially or materially. It could be offering up a place for them to stay, which I know you've probably done in the past. Or it could be something along the lines of maybe you need to shell out a little money to help their situation, this, that, and the other. The question is how's the best way to do it? Do you just give this person money? Or do you kind of start to help them when they need the help? So if you need to pay somebody off for this person or to help them in that capacity, you do it in a really small measure. That way it helps the person because it gets that person off of their back. But at the same time, that person knows that someone's there that's going to cover the debt or whatever is needed, but not all at once. This is going to be the payment system that we're looking at here, a little bit at a time. That way you're not, feeling resentment or feeling like there's obstacles being put in your way, but also because you want, in the entirety of things, you eventually want this thing to manifest itself, for this connection to come about, and the relationship to start taking on, and that's what's going on, but you're the influencing factor of that. So kind of the thinking, or the thing that's really coming to me intuitively, is I'm thinking like more along the lines like with this is like, you help them out, but you do it kind of gradually. You want a very graduated way. I do it less than even what he's probably expecting, and then at the same time, as you're continuing to help him, week after week or month after month, or whatever the time frame is, your payment method is, you're doing that with regard. He's got to keep that communication with you open in order for you to help him. And during the time of that communication is when you start to see some of these ideas of abundance and manifestation and bringing positive things into his life, so that he can start to get on the same page as you with everything, so that he can manifest and bring into his life abundance and things as well. And then be able to kind of be more empowered in that, and then things be more balanced. And that's essentially what you're looking for, is that balance in the relationship. There's that equality that happens and all, so that you guys can be together and enjoy each other's company. One person doesn't feel like the other person has more or less than the other. There's not no resentment, there's not no ill feelings, none of that kind of thing. And what happens when that happens? Well, you have unity, and that's really what is going on. It's a good tarot card reading. And I think it's really telling it. I think the cards really share quite a lot, about the situation, and really to give you the best, kind of the best advice. I mean, I think it's not only practical advice, it's spiritual advice, but it's this coupling. I didn't know that was coming about when I first started doing the tarot card reading, but I think at the exclusion of it, I think just with regard to this new situation that's just come about, that's kind of like where the answer is, kind of like what you're looking for as far as things. It's kind of a balanced approach to everything. Not being too extreme on any side, not too extreme in your giving, not too extreme in your advice giving, just really balanced. And if you do that, I think you're going to be very influential in this person's life, very persuasive in order to help this person. And the person is going to look to you, kind of in the same vein. They're not going to be like feeling like, oh, you're more superior than they are. They're going to just feel like, oh, this is someone that's just helping me. I'm getting in a better situation as they do. Hopefully that starts to turn back around, and it pays dividends, relationally as far as the relationship goes, but also monetarily. And this person eventually starts to become more empowered and has more, and that comes back to you. So that's the eventuality, I think. So anyways, love you. Much love, many blessings. And we will see you guys on the next episode of Indirect Knowledge.